everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sterling and I'm the artist here behind Cactus Lady Creation, and I've been really wanting to learn to tuft for a while now. And so when Claw Lab said that they would send me their tufting gun to try out, I really wanted to share my experience here with you all. I really love doing rug hooking and a bit of punch needling in the past, and I've really wanted to try tufting, but I've been a bit overwhelmed with where to start with it. And to be honest, the machines that you usually use to tuft are really heavy and really mechanical, and all of the mechanics are on the outside. When I saw the Claw Lab tufting gun and how it has all of the mechanics on the inside, and the gun is really lightweight and it prides itself on being more of a safe option to tuft, I thought that I really wanted to give it a try. And so I'm gonna go ahead and open this up and we'll see what's inside, and I'll set it up and I'll give it a try and share my experience with you all. So I opened the box and I have a whole bunch of pieces in here in order to make a frame. I have all of this hardware here, and also I have some screws and a little screwdriver in order to connect them all together, and the instructions, of course. All right, so let me take a look and check out these instructions and figure out how to put together the frame. So recently I had to move, and so I had to take this apart and put it back together again. And now that I have, I really love this stand. It's so easy and quick to put together and to move around, which is really important when you live in apartments like I do. And now I'm really excited to use the gun. So let's go ahead and get it out. So I'm just trying to decide what kind of pattern that I want to make for my piece. I am kind of going back and forth between a landscape piece and more of a spiral sort of design. So I have this spirally design that I thought would be really cool to make something like that. I'm trying to think of how much yarn do I have that I could use for creating something like that. I think that I would probably stay with more of the cool tones and cool colors. I'm also thinking some kind of landscape. I think something like this could be really cool, but I probably would make it a square instead of a circle. I also really like something like that, kind of like a landscape that's kind of a blob. So I think I'm gonna start off with these sort of abstract spiral sort of shapes. Maybe bring this one all the way up there, maybe give it some kind of abnormal shape, and I'll go from there. So let's see how I go with the actual gun. So I'm gonna start off with one of the yarns that they provided, which is this nice purple thick yarn. And I believe in order to feed it through the machine, I'm gonna use this little metal feeder to thread it through the gun and actually feed it. I hope I don't regret my decision to do those spiral shapes, but let's see how it goes. Let me just test it here on the side first to make sure that I get kind of used to the tension and everything. That's so cool. Okay. Let me try going back over that piece that I just did. So that's the front little piece that I did. And that is the back. So that's looking like something. That looks really cool. So I think what I'll do is keep my lines relatively straight, especially while I'm still learning. And then maybe when I start to get the hang of it, then I can start playing around with doing more squiggly lines. Another thing I am impressed by is how quiet it is when I have been wanting to tuft now for years, but I've been really intimidated by how loud it can be, especially living in apartments. I didn't want to be too loud to my neighbors, and I also was concerned about my own hearing just because I do have very sensitive ears. And so I didn't want to have to deal with a really loud machine. And so I really am convinced to do more tufting so far and get a bit better at using this because it is so quiet. So all right, so I've done a bit more work over the last day on this piece, and so far I really love how it's going. I did have to kind of change gears on the sort of design that I was doing because I was going to do this kind of swirly design, but I ran out of this blue yarn. I'm going to make an eye around it, and I have my white yarn as well as this pink yarn that came with this kit, but I'm kind of just winging it. I'm really enjoying winging it and trying out the tufting gun and seeing and getting better at my technique. All right, so I've been working on this a little bit more over the last few days and I'm almost done, but I have run out of the white yarn here. And so I'm gonna go to Spotlight and see if I can find some more yarn that is about this thickness, because I have noticed that when I tuft with thinner yarn, for example, with this yarn that I already have on hand, it just doesn't really love the weight of it. I did start to try and use this peach yarn for some of the eye part, but I don't really like the way that that's turning out. So I'm gonna go basically see if Spotlight has some more white yarn. If I can find some black yarn that I like too, then I'll actually use that to finish up and outline the eye, so instead of the peach, because I just don't really like the way that the peach yarn is going with these colors here for this design. So let's go and see what we can find. All right, so I just got back from Spotlight and I did find a couple of skeins of acrylic yarn. They aren't the same width of this yarn, unfortunately. They're a bit thinner. They're the 10 ply. That's the highest ply I could find in a yarn that didn't have too much twist. I just went ahead and went with this. Now, I don't know if this machine will like the thinner yarn, but I just thought, let's just give it a try and see. That way I can finish my eye without messing up the color kind of design that I had in mind. It's about the same color. It's a little bit more on the white side, but it was kind of between this color and a color that was a bit more cream, which I didn't want to do a color more in the cream direction. I wanted to keep it more in the whites. So I think that this color will work. All right, so I'm just gonna finish up the rest of this eye. And one thing that I really love about doing tufting is that it's really easy to redo your work. So I'm just going to undo this peach side of the piece because I just don't like the way that it looks with the rest of the design. The great thing about tufting is that you can just pull out to your work and then basically go over the top of where your mistake was, so it's pretty easy. All right, so I finished the piece and now I just need to glue the back and let it dry overnight. I just went for good old school glue, and I've heard that this works well if you lather a nice layer of glue on there. And I've used school glue for fabrics in general, and so it should work fine with the school glue. And I'm also not going to be using it for a rug on the ground. I'm just going to be using it for, you know, a wall hanging. And this is also my first project ever with tufting, so it's okay if it's not completely perfect. It's just great to give it a try. And so I'm just gonna try and see how the skull glue goes. So I've got my trusty dusty glove here, and I'm just going to put it on the glove and put it on the back and let it dry overnight. All right, so I'm finished with my piece for now, and I decided to actually skip out on gluing the backing. I cut it into the shape roughly of the piece, but I decided to skip out on gluing the backing to the piece because I just have Elmer's glue or white glue, and it's not really sticking very well because the glue that I already put down for the back of the rug, as it dries, it gets quite hard. And so because of that, I think I need a glue that's a bit more heavy duty, a bit more tacky. So I think I need to go and find some fabric glue that's a bit more strong and heavy duty, or maybe even some latex glue and proper rug glue. But basically my piece is done. Here is the finished piece for now, and I really enjoyed creating this. I definitely can see myself doing a lot more tufting, especially with the Claw Lab. I think this is an amazing introduction into the world of tufting. And if you want to check out Claw Lab for yourself and give it a try, I will have a special link in the description box below. And in that link, you can also get a discount to your purchase of the Claw Lab tufting kit. I would say this is definitely an amazing gift for the holidays, with the holiday season coming up, for someone in your life who wants to give tufting a try, or for yourself if you want to give tufting a try. The kit came with a whole bunch of things. It came with the monk's cloth for tufting with. It came with some yarn. I would say that if you create a bigger piece like I did, you might run out of yarn depending on what colors you want to use. And right now I am in Australia. I did get the power adapter that is the American plug, and they also sent me the European plug, but for being able to use the Australian plug, I actually just used I have it somewhere around here. I just used a basic universal power adapter and it worked just fine. So it does work on 100 and 240 volts. So that's really great news if you travel and you love to create while you're on the go, or if you live in different countries. So that's what I have to say about my experience with Claw Lab. Thank you again, Claw Lab, for sponsoring this video. It was really fun trying out this, and I'm really excited to continue with my tufting journey for sure. So thanks again, everyone, for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and also subscribe and join back up with me for more crochet and weaving and tufting as well. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the next one.